It was supposed to be a short walk. Just her, the dog, and the quiet forest that bordered the small town of Pine Valley. A familiar trail, a routine evening, the kind of walk she'd taken 100 times before. But as the sun began to sink behind the trees, something happened out there, something no one could explain. And what happened next would leave investigators without answers for an entire year. To understand what happened that day, you first have to understand her, who she was, and the quiet, simple life she built here in Pine Valley. Her name was Nicole Given, 34 years old, a graphic designer who worked from home. Quiet, kind, reliable, the kind of person who never seemed to make enemies. Most mornings started the same way: coffee, emails, and a walk with her dog, Lucy. Their route was always the same: down Maple Lane, across the old wooden bridge, and into the trail that wrapped around Pine Valley's northern woods. It was peaceful there, quiet enough to think. Locals called it the Whispering Path, for the way the wind moved through the pines. She walked that trail almost every day. Same hour, same direction, same routine. Until one evening, something changed. The forest was only 2 miles from her home. Locals say you could hear the creek running from her backyard on a quiet night. Safe, familiar, nothing dangerous ever happened there. To the people who knew Nicole, her disappearance would later seem impossible. But in every story like this, there's always something the town forgets, a detail hiding in plain sight. October 9th, 2023, the day that routine was broken. That's where the story truly begins. It was a Sunday, the kind of clear autumn afternoon that makes the forest glow. Nicole had spent the morning at home. Emails, coffee, a few sketches for a client, just another quiet day. At 4:16 p.m., she sent a message to her sister, heading out for a walk with Lucy before it gets dark. That would be the last time anyone ever heard from her. A neighbor recalled seeing her pass by around 4:20. She waved, smiled, nothing seemed unusual. By 4:45 she was spotted again, crossing the old wooden bridge, heading deeper into the northern woods. That's where the trail begins to narrow, where the trees close in, and the sound of the town disappears. No one knows exactly what happened next. At 5:30 p.m., just over an hour later, her dog, Lucy, was found scratching at her front door. He was muddy, trembling, the leash torn clean in half. At first, they thought she'd simply lost her way. Pine Valley's woods can twist you around if you're not careful. But by 6:15 p.m., with the sun gone and no sign of Nicole, her sister called the police. Deputies arrived within 30 minutes. The search began immediately, along the trail, the bridge, and the surrounding creek. For the first few hours, they believed they'd find her before dark. They didn't. By midnight, nearly 24 people were searching. Dogs, drones, even boats on the river. But there was no sign, no footprints, no clothing, no sound. Just silence. Then at 6:37 p.m., long after she should have been home, her phone pinged once briefly from a cell tower near the western ridge. It was the last trace of her anywhere. The forest that night was thick with fog and rain, tracks washed away in minutes. The search stretched past 3 a.m. until the deputies called it for safety. Nicole Given had vanished without a sound, without a witness, without a single clue. And from that day on, the Whispering Path was no longer just a trail. It became the place where a life disappeared. At first light, the search began again, this time with everyone the small town could spare. More than 200 people, police officers, neighbors, even strangers, showed up to look for Nicole Given. They searched every trail, every stream, every ravine. They flew drones, combed riverbanks, even drained a small pond near the West Ridge. Still nothing. Her sister said Nicole had never gone a day without calling, not once, not even on vacations. By day 2, hope began to turn into something heavier, dread. Lucy wouldn't leave the door for days. Every time a car passed, he lifted his head. It's as if he was waiting for her to walk back through the door, leash in hand, smile on her face. By the third night, Pine Valley was running out of places to look. The forest stretched farther than the maps suggested, deep canyons, uneven ground, old mining pits. And yet, not a single sign. Investigators turned to technology phone records, fitness app data, and heat scans. Her phone pinged one last time at 6:37 p.m., nearly half a mile from her known route. But the terrain there was almost impossible to reach, steep, uneven, and covered in thick brush. Still they searched. Helicopters flew overhead, drones swept the canopy, even divers searched the nearby creek. Every angle, every possibility, until slowly the search began to shrink. Within days, the case made local headlines. But Pine Valley wasn't used to mysteries, not ones like this. By the end of the first week, officers had nothing, no tracks, no belongings, not even a scent for the dogs to follow. They called it the largest search Pine Valley had ever seen. And yet somehow it found nothing. After 10 days, the official search was scaled back. Nicole Given's case was now considered a missing person investigation. The bridge stood empty once again. And for the people of Pine Valley, the question lingered: how can someone vanish on a trail that ends where it begins? When the search ended, what remained were questions and theories. Some made sense, others not so much. Pine Valley was a quiet town, the kind where everyone knows everyone else. But as days turned to weeks, quiet turned into whispers. Rumors started to spread. People began to fill the silence with their own explanations. The first theory, a wildlife encounter. The Northern Trail borders an area known for black bears and cougars. Some believed Nicole may have startled something and never made it out. But there were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no torn clothing, nothing. If it was an animal, it left no trace at all. The second theory, someone took her. Several witnesses mentioned a white pickup truck parked near the trail that day. No one recognized it, and by the time police followed up, it was gone. Some say the driver was just another hiker, others aren't so sure. Then came another theory, that she left on her own. Investigators found she'd been searching for travel destinations a week before she vanished. But her passport and bank cards were still in the house. And friends say she had plans, a family dinner the very next night. If she walked away, she did it without taking anything, not even her phone. Others believed it was something simpler, an accident. Pine Valley's northern forest hides drops, creeks, and sudden slopes. A single misstep in fatting light could mean a fall no one would ever see. Search teams checked the obvious areas, but there are places steep, remote, that no one had reached. But one piece of evidence didn't fit any theory, that single phone ping. At 6:37 p.m., Nicole's phone connected to a tower far west of her normal route. It lasted only seconds, then went dark forever. Some say she tried to call for help, others believe someone else had her phone. Whatever happened, that signal came from deep inside the woods, in a place search teams never explored. By the end of the month, every theory had been tested, and everyone had failed. No evidence, no leads, just absence. And in Pine Valley, whispers turned to fear. The official search ended 21 days after she vanished. But the story, it never left the town. Until 1 year later, when a hunter's drone captured something no one could explain. By late autumn, Pine Valley had grown quiet again. The posters had faded, the search maps were rolled up and stored away. For investigators, there were no new leads, no evidence to chase. For everyone else, there was only the waiting. Winter came early that year. and with it, a silence that seemed to hang over the whole town. People stopped walking the northern trail. Some said they still heard a dog barking out there, even when no one was around. At the diner, the story became something else, a warning. Parents told their kids not to go near the woods after dark. And those who lived closest to the forest swore they'd seen strange lights deep among the trees. Her mother never stopped hopping. Every Sunday, she left flowers at the trail entrance and waited for an answer that never came. Months passed. The investigation was officially closed. Case file 21257, status unsolved. The world moved on, but the forest, it kept its secret. A year later, on a cold November night, a hunter returned to Pine Valley. He wasn't looking for answers, just deer. But what his drone captured that night would change everything. Because for the first time in 12 months, Nicole Given was about to be seen again. November 14th, a year to the day since Nicole Given disappeared. Out here the night can swallow sound. He was alone, or so he thought. His drone was equipped with a thermal camera, a hunter's tool for tracking deer in the dark. For 20 minutes, nothing appeared unusual. And then, at the edge of the frame, movement. At first he thought it was an animal, a deer maybe. But deer don't stand upright. Whatever it wasn't moving like anything else in the forest. He tried to call out, but there was no signal, no cell reception that deep in Pine Valley. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it was gone. He brought the drone down, tried to retrace the direction of that heat signature. No footprints, no tracks, not even the dog. But something else caught his eye, a scrap of fabric caught on a low branch. A piece of cloth, faded and brittle. Later, forensic analysis would confirm it matched the jacket Nicole Given was last seen wearing. He turned the footage over to the authorities the next morning. What they saw reignited an investigation long thought dead. Some claim they can see movement, a turn of the head. Others insist it's just artifact distortion from the camera. But the resemblance was undeniable. For the first time in a year, detectives were back in the forest. The exact coordinates from the drone footage, less than 2 miles from where she was last seen. What they found there wasn't a body, but it was something that proved she had been there. It was the dog's collar, the name tag still legible. Nicole Given's dog had been missing too. The question was no longer what happened that day. It was what had been out there ever since. For the first time in a year, Pine Valley woke to the sound of helicopters again. The discovery of the drone footage changed everything. Old fears resurfaced, and with them new questions. Detectives focused on the coordinates from the hunter's video, a section of forest once dismissed as too steep, too dense. Now it was ground zero. And with the police came the cameras. Overnight, Pine Valley was back on every newsfeed. Some called it justice, others exploitation. For the people who had lived with the story, every new headline was a wound reopened. She came again that morning. The same trail, the same flowers. She said she could feel Nicole close. That this time, she would finally come home. The terrain led searchers downhill, to a stream that hadn't been mapped in the first search. And it was there, just beneath the waterline, that they found something new. A phone cracked, waterlogged but intact. The serial number matched Nicole Given. Forensics recovered only fragments from the memory chip, images corrupted by a year of moisture and cold. But one file survived, a single video, 27 seconds long. Experts say it ended abruptly, like the phone had fallen. And in those final frames, they caught a reflection. A silhouette standing behind her. The reflection reignited every theory and spawned new ones. Was it her stalker, a passerby, or something else entirely? For the detectives of Pine Valley, the case was no longer cold. It was burning again. And as the investigation deepened, the forest began giving up its secrets. One by one. 3 days after the phone was found, search teams returned to the western ridge, following the stream's path deeper into the forest. And there, hidden beneath a curtain of roots, they found it. A shallow depression in the earth, partly collapsed by rain and time. Within it, fragments of clothing, a boot, and the remnants of a hiking pack. DNA analysis would confirm what many had already feared. They had found Nicole Given. The cause of death was never officially released, but evidence suggested she had fallen from a ridge above the stream, a place hidden from view even to the search drones. A simple misstep, they said. A tragic accident in a place that hid its secrets too well. But to those who knew her, and to a town that had lived with her absence, it felt like something more. The hunter never spoke publicly about what he saw that night. But every year on the same day he returns, to the same clearing, under the same fading light. He says the forest feels different now. Quieter, as if whatever was waiting out there finally found rest. Nicole Given's story became more than a mystery. It became a reminder that sometimes answers hide in plain sight, that the places we know best can still hold their darkest secrets, and that even after the longest silence,